Well, many thanks for joining us. You're watching QTV broadcasting from the Gambia, and this is the news. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. In a show of strengthening bilateral relations, the Minister of Defense on Tuesday visited the economic headquarters in Fujairah. The Chinese embassy in Banjul today held a mini virtual function to celebrate the country's 71st anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. A $26 million hospital is being constructed in Alunghare village in the Upper River region. In international news, one of the world's oldest conflicts, a territorial dispute between Armenia and Azerbaijan, has erupted again with the heaviest clashes in years. And in sports, Ivory Coast football legend Didier Drogba has been announced as the recipient of the 2020 UEFA President's Award. The Ethiopian Football Federation have appointed a new national team coach after opting not to renew the contract of former coach Abraham Mebratu. And now, the local news in detail. The Minister of Defense, Omar Faye, on Tuesday visited the economic headquarters in Fujairah to foster good relations between the economic forces currently serving in the country and the Ministry of Defense. Omar Pijalo has the rest of that story.
Economic troops were deployed to the Gambia by the heads of states of the sub-regional bloc ECOWAS in January 2017 to enforce President Adama Barrow's election victory over the then-President Yahya Jammeh, after the latter refused to hand over power following an election defeat. After a closed-door meeting with the commander of the economic forces in the Gambia, the Minister of Defense, Sir Omar Faye, told journalists that the visit is to strengthen the already existing relationship between his ministry, the Gambia Armed Forces and the economic forces. He added that the visit will also give him first-hand knowledge of the challenges economic forces are facing in order to be able to address them.
It's customary that at some stage you have to visit your friends and find out what's going on, where they are, what they have achieved, what their challenges are, and you have a dialogue.
The defense minister said the security sector reform is at an advanced stage, but added that the reform process remains a sensitive and complicated matter to address. He called on people to exercise patience, noting as the reform process is ongoing, government and its partners need to work with caution in order to complete the process successfully.
There must be a withdrawal phase. So 3 stages: intervention, stabilization, and now they will be preparing a withdrawal stage. So we want people to be patient, to appreciate them, and to see how they can work together so that when that phase comes, our armed forces and other security services will honorably take the security and stability of this country.
On the issue of economic forces mounting checkpoints along our highways, sometimes resulting in accidents, especially in Fonyi-Buyam, this is what Minister Faye has to say.
They are aware of the concerns, and we'll move on. We're a civilized society. We're not going to be fighting. When issues come, we come talk to them, and they see our points, and they're going to see what they can do to rectify that. I'm optimistic that very soon the colonel will work with his team, because I'm going to visit there also in a few days. Inshallah, I think we all will come on the same plan. We're going to make some adjustments.
The term of the economic forces in the Gambia was meant to end on June 30th, but President Adama Barrow requested an extension of their mandate while addressing the 57th ordinary session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government in Niger last month, citing ongoing reforms and what he calls a fragile political situation in the Gambia. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
China's embassy in Banjul on Tuesday held a mini virtual function to celebrate the country's 71st anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. The event was attended by the Gambia's Minister for Foreign Affairs. More in this report. Celebrated on the 1st of October each year, the day marks the founding of the People's Republic of China, declared on October 1st, 1949, by the country's first leader, Chairman Mao Zedong. Delivering a statement, His Excellency Ma Jianchun, China's ambassador to the Gambia, says the day presents an opportunity to take stock of the opportunities and challenges registered in the past year, and went on to highlight the achievements of the Communist Party and how they have successfully transformed the country from an impoverished nation to a leading global economy by lifting over 850 million people out of poverty. He says the life expectancy rate has doubled over the years, revealing that the country looks forward to lifting millions of her citizens out of poverty in the years to come. On international diplomacy, Ambassador Ma Jian-chun says the country plays a leading role on the global stage and reiterated their commitment to further strengthen ties with Banjul. On the global COVID-19 pandemic, which was first discovered in China, he says the country recognizes the Gambia government's messages of support and solidarity during what has been a difficult period, and commended President Barrow for recently reiterating his support for the One China policy. The Gambia's Minister for Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians Abroad, Mamadou Tangara, says the Gambia government appreciates its continuous partnership with China, citing China's support for the implementation of various development projects as a true reflection of the great relationship between both countries. In China, the day is traditionally celebrated with a variety of government-organized festivities, including fireworks and concerts, as well as sports and cultural events. Public places, such as Tiananmen Square in Beijing, are decorated in a festive theme, and portraits of revered leaders such as Mao Zedong are publicly displayed. The holiday is also celebrated by many Chinese overseas. COVID-19 has ensured that this year's festivities will be different. Ansumana Isonyasi for Qtv News. A $26 million hospital is being constructed in Alunhare village in URR. The project is a community self-finance initiative to provide easy access and affordable health care for the community and surrounding villages. This story is by Fodimane and narrated by Alaji A.F. Jallo.
The funds to be used in the construction of the hospital were raised by natives and residents of the village and those in the diaspora. The village have also volunteered to provide labor. Mr. Degumo Dukure, a committee member of the hospital, said the project is a community-owned initiative. This is due to inadequate quality health facilities in the region. We therefore found it necessary to construct such a hospital to provide quality health care deliveries and to complement government's effort. Saibo Tunkara, a committee member, expressed hope that after the completion of the project, a management committee will be set up to manage the hospital.
We have a young kid, they are smart, they have knowledge. We send them to rebuild more knowledge for the hospital, make sure their capability for the doctors and the medication and the people to be a patient for everyone, to control what they have to control, not over control. The control have a limit, isn't? So we're going to sit down and discuss with that to have that committee construction to go for it.
The youth leader of the village, Bakusa Dukure, told us the important role young people will play in ensuring the project's successful completion.
The youth of Alunhare will contribute. You know, the people of in the outside, they bring 200. The youth of Alunhare will stand by our knowledge and our power to work together and to go together to be the same thing. You see, if we are one, we can do everything. But when we scattered, we can't do anything. I think this is what I know. And here, the youth, we are together. So when we call, only one call, you see 100 by 100, we meet together and discuss what we have to do.
Once completed, this hospital will become one of the biggest health facilities in the region. For QTV News, I am Alaji A.F. Jal.
The Minister for Women, Children and Social Welfare, Fatou Kinte, on Tuesday presided over the inauguration of a new borehole for Sukuta Women Guardian. The $450,000 project was funded by Buzz Women Gambia. Lolly M. Kamara has the rest of that story.
It was a joyous and historic moment for the women gardeners in Sukuta as their 15-hectare garden finally gets a borehole to help solve their water problems. The project is fully sponsored by Buzz Women Gambia, a non-profitable organization that equips low-income women with financial, entrepreneurial and leadership skills. The Minister for Women, Children and Social Welfare, Fatou Kinte, says her ministry is glad to be associated with Buzz Women Gambia, adding that the ministry was established to ensure the empowerment of women. She added that her ministry's doors are open to Buzz Women Gambia and any other NGO for future developments.
I want to encourage the women to make sure that now that they spend less time in getting water, let them make sure that they cultivate a bigger part of the land. I understand. They are not even cultivating even half of the land that they have here. Me and the chairperson have had a discussion. We won't tell you what we discussed. When it's ready, it will come to you as a surprise. But we will make sure that that also succeeds. And for the borehole, I also want to encourage the women to make sure that, to let them know that it belongs to them. Now that it has been funded by Buzz Gambia, it's no more a Buzz Gambia property. Correct. It belongs to you. Absolutely. Don't see it as a project of somebody else. No. Buzz came to give you support. Now it belongs to you. And you should make sure that this lasts. You should make sure that it lasts. How can you make it last? You come up with a strategy as to how you can make sure it's self-sustaining.
Fatou Cham Toure, Buzz Women Gambia's national coordinator, gave the background to her organization, stating that in April 2018, the organization trained over 3,000 women within the West Coast region. She said their future target for the Gambia is to train 100,000 women.
Our program exposes the women to knowledge that will help them realize their inner talent, their families and their communities to lead in richer, fulfilling lives with greater financial security. We travel to the villages on the Buzz Gambia buses to train women on the basics of financial management, like what is profit, what is loss, how to maintain an account book, how to plan expenses, and how to start new businesses.
Sekuba Toure, the contractor, said it was an opportunity to be part of history as it is a life-changing project for Sukuta's women gardeners. Mr. Toure also reveals that the borehole can pump 13,000 liters of water per hour.
Most impressively is the borehole. That was my target. This is a borehole that can accommodate any type of pump. So when you are doing a water project, you pay more emphasis on the borehole, because that's the foundation. When you have a good borehole, you can put any type of pump.
Usman M. Cham, the chairman of Buzz Women Gambia's board of directors, says the day has been made possible thanks to the support of their partners in the Netherlands. He called on the community to take ownership of the borehole.
I just want to warn the women of Sukuta that this land should be reserved as it is, and not a person of it should be touched. It's very important because other ideas are coming up. Development is about that. Once you have started it, some new ideas come up.
Other speakers included Pamatar Cham, Village Development Committee, and Mba Sose Cham, Women Representative, Sukuta Garden. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
And from the report, we go for a short commercial break, but when we return, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is QTV News. Now, stung by claims and footage on social media, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority have dismissed claims that the $14 million airport renovation work is just for painting. This came after social media footage appeared showing what was said to be the new look of the airport. Babu Karsi reports.
Reports on social media in recent weeks showed the airport, along with allegations that the $14 million for the general renovation of the facility was instead spent only on painting. To clear the doubts, we visited the airport to find out from the public relations officer of the Civil Aviation Authority, Lamin Diba.
Free of space to enhance capacity in the number of people we can process, and therefore enhance the time it takes to process passengers, particularly at the times when we have peak times. We are now in the check-in area. This is what previously had been the check-in hall. In the check-in hall, we previously had only 8 check-in counters. Interesting enough, when we spaced off, letting of the space that was used by the former immigration, we have enough space now to house about 6 new check-in counters. Added to the 8 will make it 14. This necessarily would mean an increment in the number of people we can process at every given time.
Other renovated areas of the terminal includes the VIP and the CIP lounge, a general overhaul of the cooling system, renovation of the control tower, electrical installations and repair works at the old terminals. The terminals are expected to start operations by the end of October, when the tourist season is expected to start, having been impacted by the COVID-19. And according to PRO Diba, preventive measures will be taken to ensure staff and tourists alike abide by the WHO and Ministry of Health guidelines.
We are conversant and consistent with the fact that we are now in the corona period. And if you look at the ground, there are markings for social distancing. Arriving passengers will be distanced right from the gate where they arrive. And then when they go to immigration, because we said from the first word go that we are increasing our numbers, and the purpose of this extension is actually 2 things. Free of space, increase capacity, and enhance our delivery time. We logically are going to also increase the capacity of the immigration department. On the extreme end, you'll see ports, where we expect to have 3 different new security kiosks for immigration. And that's going to enhance and increase our capacity to process private passengers in good time, so that they meet the turnaround time for the aircraft to be able to pick the private passengers in good time and leave our international airport in good time.
PRO Diba refuted the social media accusations that the airport authorities spent $14 million just for the painting work.
Nobody in your right shape of mind would conjure and make meaning from that amount of money. I refuse to quote the amount of money because to me, it's not a starter. It is ill-willed misrepresentation of the fact. What is happening is we showed you imagery of the type of materials that we bought. And this imagery and these materials, the machines and everything, are denominated in dollars. To have to conjure a particular amount of money like this to put up only on painting would be actually misrepresenting the fact. So I refuse to quote the amount of money because to me, what is important, it is what quality of work is being done here and not people deliberately misconstruing the fact and peddling what is supposed to mislead and misinform the Gambian people. It's unfortunate.
Diba stressed that those doubting the level of work carried out at the airport should visit the premises, as all the premises are open for them at any time. The country is expected to reopen its airport to international flights amid strict health regulations by the end of next month, according to the announcement at last week's Ministry of Information Weekly virtual press briefing. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
The URL Youth Committee held its biannual Congress over the weekend and elected a new committee to steer its affairs for the next 2 years. This story by Fode Mane is narrated by Alaji A.F. Jallo.
Acting on the remit of the National Youth Council, national and regional youths are required to elect a new committee every 2 years. The event brought together representatives of various youth organizations who are affiliated to the region's youth committee. After the vote, Babukar Sidibe secured 39 votes and Mohamed Sisse got 31. The outgoing chairman, Mohamed Sisse, congratulated his successor and offered to support the incoming committee.
As the decision made by the public, the delegates, is their choice. In as much as you contributed immensely to development, it's their choice to re-elect you back. So it's a democratic process. We accept it with a good faith, and then we also commit ourselves to support the incoming chairperson, because we are out, but we are still young people. We don't have any grudge over any person. During the campaign period, a lot of things were said But thank God today's Congress, all those things, there was no evidence base. So the delegates have their entitlement to vote whoever they feel that should be lead them. And then the URA young people have decided democratically to bring another person to lead the region.
Babukar Sidibe, the newly elected chairman, recognizes the challenges ahead and calls for closer collaboration.
But I believe the objective that I have for this region is to be able to elevate young people, you understand, more especially on the side of the youth policy, you understand, to be able to make it familiarized, well familiarized to every young person of the Gambia, especially URR. So, and also I will make sure that, of course, opportunities that are for young people are decentralized. No region or no district will be marginalized.
The outgoing chairman of the National Youth Council, who doubles as the chair for the Congress Committee, Mr. Dembo Kambi, has this to say.
My message to the young people of URR is to unite. Elections are democratic principles, very key democratic principles. They will come every term. And in the case of the National Youth Council, it comes every 2 years. So if it comes to the end of that 2 years, we're supposed to go to Congress to elect the new badge or new set of leaders that are going to represent us. So we are here to witness that Congress. There were 2 contenders and one happens to be the winner. But my message to the young people of URR is to unite. I have said this and I will continue to say it. They must not allow partisan politics to divide them.
The position of vice chairperson, treasurer, public relations officer, and other co-opted members were unopposed. For QTV News, I am Alaji A.F. Jal.
And from that report, we take a second commercial break, but when we come back, we take a look at international and sports news. Welcome back from that commercial break. Thanks for staying with us. Over now to internationals in just a moment. One of the world's oldest conflicts, a territorial dispute between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which had been dormant but simmering for long, has erupted again with the heaviest clashes in years. More in this report.
The conflict is an ethnic and territorial problem over the disputed region of Nagorno-Karabakh and 7 surrounding districts which are in reality controlled by the self-declared Republic of Artsakh, but are internationally recognized as legally part of Azerbaijan. German Chancellor Angela Merkel called for negotiations on both sides after communicating with the Armenian Prime Minister and the Azerbaijani President. At least 84 people are confirmed killed in the conflict, which started on Sunday morning when violence broke out, supposedly instigated to this occasion from Azerbaijani forces. 11 of those killed are believed to be civilians. The Armenian forces reportedly attempted to launch counterattacks against the Azerbaijani military on Monday. In fact, the 2 sides have employed heavy artillery in areas where both the military and civilian population are targets. The violence has damaged both military and civilian territories in Nagorno-Karabakh. An Azerbaijani Defense Ministry spokesperson rejected claims by the Armenian forces that they had taken back territory overnight. He further stated that the Armenians continue to spread fake information that it allegedly managed to recover previously lost territories. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has offered support for Azerbaijan and urged the world to stand in with the country in what he calls its battle against invasion and cruelty. Azerbaijanis are a predominantly Turkic people with whom Turkey has close ties with. Russia, traditionally seen as an ally of Armenia, called for an immediate ceasefire and talks to end the conflict. On Tuesday, the USA, France and the UK joined those calling for an immediate ceasefire and mediation talks. History suggests any peace deal is likely to be broken at some point. For QTV News, I am Mariama Fall.
Well, that was the international news. Up next is sports. In football, Ivory Coast and Chelsea legend Didier Drogba was today announced as the recipient of the 2020 UEFA President's Award in recognition of his illustrious playing career. His records reads: international games played, 106 appearances, 65 goals scored. In UEFA club competition, there were 102 appearances and 50 goals. In European domestic competition, 470 appearances, he scored 180 goals. Quite remarkable. But we still stay in football. The Ethiopian Football Federation have appointed Mobetu Abate as national team coach after opting not to renew the contract of former coach Abraham Mebratu last August amid the COVID-19 pandemic. More in this report.
Abate signed a 2-year contract on the 26th of September at the Federation's headquarters in Addis Ababa. During his unveiling, the president of the Football Federation, Isaias Jira, said they went through a meticulous process to hire Abate. He went to say that the technical committee proposed a list of coaches and our choice was Mobetu Abate. Abate has a task to qualify Ethiopia to the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations in a group with Ivory Coast, Niger and Madagascar. Abate, a former player, managed numerous domestic sides, including Adama City, Ethiopian Coffee, Dedebit, Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, to name a few. He led Ethiopian Coffee to their first trophy in a decade in 2011 and also won the 2019 Ethiopian Cup with Fasil Kenema. Ethiopia are second in their AFCON qualifiers Group K with 3 points following a 2-1 win against African heavyweights Ivory Coast and lost to group leaders Madagascar. Abate's new journey will begin away against currently bottom-placed Niger in Niamey. According to a report on CAF Online, Abate said, "I like challenges and I enjoy them. I faced many challenges in my coaching career. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. It was a dream for me to manage Ethiopian national team. Surprisingly, the dream has come true and I hope to achieve good results during my spell." Mamadou Gajaga, Qtv News.
Well, I'm afraid that's all about it, but before we take a leave of you, here's a recap from main headlines. In a show of strengthening bilateral relations, the Minister of Defense on Tuesday visited the economic headquarters in Fajara. The Chinese embassy in Banjul today held a mini virtual function to celebrate the country's 71st anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. A $26 million hospital is being constructed in Alunghare village in the Opa River region. In international news, one of the world's oldest conflicts, a territorial dispute between Armenia and Azerbaijan, has erupted again with the heaviest clashes in years. And in sports, Ivory Coast football legend Didier Drogba has been announced as the recipient of the 2020 UEFA President's Award. The Ethiopian Football Federation have appointed a new national team coach after opting not to renew the contract of former coach Abraham Mebratu. Well, that's it from me and the rest of the team. Thanks for watching. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Until then, bye-bye.